Hi everybody, is this working? I'm sorry if this is swinging a little bit, the camera, although I think it has image stabilization, because I think that even though I see it swinging, I think the final result does not. And you're wondering, what am I talking about? And I've just jumped right in the middle of something. No, I'm sorry. Uh, Thank you for coming, and yeah, I got a lot going on here. um, we've got two cameras running because I'm an idiot, primarily, but let me do this a little bit more there. Not so bright. Uh, this is my iPad, and that's my webcam. I think I'm going to use the iPad version. I'm running them both at the same time. I would just use my webcam as normal, as I've done all the other videos, with not this, not what you're going to see here probably. I mean, if I use this edit or this machine, but I'm running out of hard drive space, as I'm sure I've whined about before. So I'm afraid I won't have enough space on the webcam with the PC. So I'm using my iPad here, and I'm sure I've done this before, where I've reached over here and shown you these two. You can hold them still, right? 1 terabyte SSDs. 2 terabytes right here in my hands, but it turns out they don't add that much space if you hold them here in your hands. You actually have to put them in a computer. And don't ask me why I haven't done that yet. I actually have a degree in this, in computer science, as an engineering, and it's not rocket science to put the SSD in, but I haven't done it yet. Sorry, eye itches. So anyway, thought I'd do one more video here while, because the world's kind of heating up, or the country's kind of heating up, and it's gonna. I think I'm gonna kind of end up with more work. I've got looks like I've got work coming up this coming weekend in Chicago. Some side consulting work, among other things. I do computer database design and project planning, anything, coding, any consulting work I can get. I have some friends in Denver where I used to have an office from the company that got bought out, and everybody's scattered to the wind, but quite a few of them were in Denver, and well, they still are, and one of them in particular, Mark, started his own company, and so he's been. And we knew each other from the other company, so he's been calling me. He's been giving me some work, that I can work remotely. I mean, obviously, he can. We can just do it back and forth over the magic of the internet. I don't have to be in Denver to do it, but that's not why I'm going to Chicago. But it's still work, and anyway, if it's going to keep me busy, I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to have time to do these as much, so let me go ahead and get one more in the can, and yeah, and so I might use my iPad version here if it doesn't run out of memory. But I really think this iPad here, it's not my Pro, it's just the other one. I think it has a lot of space still, because I don't have movies. Well, people don't fly, or at least I don't fly any place anymore. I don't take a lot of vacations, flying from here to Austria, or even from here to Vegas, or whatever, where I would want to download 3 or 4 movies off of somewhere, and then have them with me on my iPad or something like that. So I don't have a lot of stuff on there. I don't even have a lot of music on there on purpose. There's some music on there accidentally, but most of my music's on my phone. And why am I telling you this? Why would you care? I hope this is odd enough. I didn't do a real well. I didn't do a real good sound check on the iPad. I know how things work on the webcam, and I have more control over that, but the iPad just kind of does what it wants to do. But I really think the picture is better. That may be worse for us all, the sharper picture, but I think it's running like 1080p on the webcam. I'm sorry, on the iPad. I believe I know the webcam is only 720p, and this webcam is ancient. It's got to be like 7 years old. The webcam, that guy, not you. You're new, or a couple years old on this iPad. Okay, so what? A little bit of housekeeping, a little bit more housekeeping. Sorry. Background music is Dire Straits, Why Worry. I've been kind of alternating between that and my great friend Deanna Petku's cover of Shape of My Heart, Sting, from Leon the Professional, closing credits, is where that comes from. And so anyway, I threw this up. And it was funny to me because it scared the hell out of me, and it's done it before. So I should have known it was at this time, is that alphabetically, the song after this one, if I forget to loop it, I forget what song it is, but it starts out with like traffic noises and like sirens. It just comes blasting out of nowhere. I mean, of all songs to be alphabetically after this really chill Dire Straits song that I'm using for background music, you know, of all songs, it couldn't just be some instrumentals of some guy, Simon and Garfunkel, you know, intro to Sound of Silence or something like that. No, it's got to be this crazy loud thing. And I had this running, and I was farting around with lighting a little bit, and all of a sudden, boom, the speed, you know, everything goes nuts, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that damn song. It comes alphabetically right after Why Worry, or either that, or it comes, if I've got them sorted by artist, it comes next anyway. What I'm going to do here is, the topic here is going to be a couple embarrassing high school stories, I think is where I'm going with this. Deanna actually suggested that a while back as a topic, and I did some, and it just occurred to me just now. I was actually right in the middle of watching a Netflix movie, and all of a sudden it occurred to me, I've got a couple more. Well, actually, it occurred to me because I dug through my high school yearbook for a couple pictures to scan, and it reminded me of one or both. Yeah, it reminded me of both of the stories. So, yeah. So anyway, that's what this will be. A couple embarrassing high school stories, and hopefully won't run as long as my usual stupid 33-minute long ones or so. Otherwise, I'll have the fun of figuring out how to edit on the iPad. So, yeah, story. Which one to start with? Tennis. Yeah, because I sent I scanned a picture from the tennis team, and my partner Gary. We played first doubles. He was, you know, there in the picture, and I'm like, oh yeah, that story. So, what else is going on here first, though? I'm sorry if I look terrible. It's because the picture's too sharp, or I just got out of the shower. Although it's evening, but I just hadn't got around to it yet. Oops. But this is going to sound really vain, but I've never messed around with teeth whitening or anything because it's expensive. But on the webcam, I'm looking right there, and my teeth look really gray, and they look whiter here on the iPad. Just the color balance or something. Sorry, my hands are dirty. It's a mess. It's just different. This is a better camera, I think, on the iPad. I think I've ascertained that, and I've said it 3 or 4 times now. So, redundancy, Department of Redundancy here. So, tennis. Yeah. The story there was that, and this was being covered by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the newspaper, not a little community newspaper they throw on your porch for free. I mean, this was the newspaper. And in our tennis league for high school, Gary and I were on a run of not only being undefeated in the matches, 2 out of 3 sets, but we were winning sets 6-0, 6-0. I don't know how. I don't want to over-explain this if you know tennis, and if you don't, you may not care. So I don't want to over-explain how to keep score and stuff. But anyway, we weren't losing any games. Not only were we not losing one set, and then you can win 2 out of 3 sets and still win the match, but we weren't losing any games. We were winning 6-0, 6-0. We go back and report to the coach. And he's like, how'd you do? And I said, we won. He's like, how? Okay, what's the score? And I said, 0-0. He's like, really? I'm like, yep. And then 3 days later, we'd have a match, and we'd do it again, 6-0, 6-0. Crushed them. And then we'd play a different school 5 days later, some different park or different tennis courts in Dwight Davis and Forest Park, someplace, wherever. And 0-0 again. And so we were on a string of having won, like, I don't know, 66 or something games of tennis without a single loss, even a game, let alone losing a set. And, you know, it was kind of unprecedented. And so the big newspaper was there to cover us in this next match. And we were winning. We won the first set 6-0. Yep. And we're winning 5-0 5-0 in the second set. In his first, you win 6 games. That's the set. So we got 5 up the 6, and we already won the first set 6-0. So now we're 5-0, and I forget who's serving. Whether we're serving or they're serving, doesn't matter. But anyway, we're 1 game away from yet another 6-0, 6-0 victory, and the newspaper's there. Well, I was serving. That's right. I was serving. My partner was at the net, and it just so happened that the other team, I don't know if they did it on purpose or not. They might have, because they realized, they're like 99% lost, right? 6-0 and down 5-0. They're done. And I'm not going to lose my serve either. I'm serving, and I'm going to hold serve. So we're going to win. So anyway, they hit him. At this point, I got to get to the point. They hit him right in the head with a tennis ball. I mean, it's a tennis ball. It's not a cannon, or a pool ball or something. It didn't hurt him. It stung, I'm sure. But anyway, sure enough, he was at the net, and I don't know, like I said, if they did it on purpose or just the ball went funny off the edge of their racket or something and purely accidental. I mean, they said, sorry, but anyway, the sorry didn't help. He lost his mind when he got hit with that ball. I mean, it knocked all of his brains out of his head somewhere. I didn't see where his brains fell, but they clearly fell out onto the court somewhere, because he lost his fucking mind. And then all he wanted to do was hit both of them with the ball. He didn't care about the score. He didn't care about the lines, whether the ball's in or out. He didn't care about any rules of tennis. He just wanted to take the tennis ball and hit them with it. That was all he wanted, revenge. And so he ended up losing that game for us. And then we proceeded to lose the next 7 games or whatever. I think we went to a tiebreaker. You go to a tiebreaker at 6-all. So they won the next 6 games off of us because he was out of control. I couldn't keep him away from the ball. I'm like, Gary, go sit down. I'll play by myself, and I'll use the doubles courts. I'll play the whole thing. I'll play the whole width of the doubles courts. Please go sit down. Can't do that. So he would, every time the ball came to him, he was trying to kill him with the ball. And I'm like, Gary, will you let your foot off the gas? You've tried 100 times now, and you actually hit one of them in the side of the ribs or something, and then you had to pretend you were sorry, and you weren't sorry, but you haven't hit the other one yet. But for Christ's sakes, could you let us win one more game and we'll be done with this set, and then just go drink a beer or take a Xanax or something. Jesus Christ. But no, he wouldn't let up, and we ended up losing that match. So we lost 0-6, 7-5, 6-0 or something like that. I mean, we lost about 13 games in a row to lose that, because we already won the first set, so we had to do quite a bit of losing to lose that match after we'd already won the first set 6-0, and we did. So we lost. So all kinds of records were messed up there. We were undefeated in at least winning matches, blew that. We had never lost a game in 66 games or something, and we lost like 16 games that afternoon because he lost his damn mind. And so as always, after the match, we go report back to coach and just get the scores down. And I was kind of I was the captain of the 2 of us of the first doubles. He was kind of second string, slightly behind me. So coach would just look to me and say, "What was the scores?" And I'm like, no. I just pointed to Gary, and I'm saying, I'm going to let you, because the coach fully expects that we won, at least, and he probably thinks we're going to win 0-0, 6-0, 6-0 again. And so I'm not going to try to explain to him the score, and then he's going to say, what the fuck? What do you mean? And I'm going to, nope, I'm not going to get involved in this at all. This is all Gary's mess. Gary can explain it from beginning to end, how he caused this disaster. And he did, and the coach, actually, I think the coach grounded him and brought somebody up from second doubles to play with me in first doubles, and they brought somebody who's just on the practice squad in then to play second doubles to fill in. And Gary got benched for like 2 weeks at least. But we were in the paper, the scores were in the paper, our school versus the other school, and there's my name, and there's Gary's name, and there's those damn scores. I don't have it anymore, but I did cut it out of the paper just because it was kind of funny, because there's no cash prizes for winning a high school tennis league or anything like that. So it was really kind of funny. It wasn't funny at the time on the court. I was ready to kill myself. But anyway, so that was, I guess, not particularly embarrassing for me, but a funny high school story, or at least for me it was funny. So I don't know if I made it entertaining for anybody else. I hope so. But if I failed at that, it would be the first time, right? This is harder to do than I thought when I started doing these things, to try to be entertaining, but I've gotten great feedback from people, and I really appreciate that. That's really nice. Yeah, I don't have any Easter eggs up. And, another thing I noticed, here, back to housekeeping, the video that I'm looking at here, the real image, I believe, is going to be wider than what I can see here. So I can't even tell what's in the shot and not. I had to be careful about, getting rid of all my stuffed panda bears that I've named and have little necklaces. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, I had to be paying attention to what kind of junk was in around the edges of the, around the periphery here, because it's shooting wider, and I'll find out when I put it up on YouTube. I think it's going to go up there wider. Okay, another story. Conniving women? You women are conniving. You are. I'm sure this was not accidental. Here's the deal. High school senior prom's coming up. I am kind of in between girlfriends. I've got the girlfriend that I'm on the way out with, Bev, and the girl that I'm starting to get involved with, gymnast Colette, who she was in the picture that I was scanning here, so that reminded me, oh, Colette, oh yeah, senior prom. So anyway, but I'm in between. I'm panicking at this time, of my life, because I'm in between, kind of ending the relationship with Bev and picking up with Colette, and I haven't invited anybody to senior prom, neither one of them, and it's getting closer every day, right? And I've got to decide what to do. Do I? As far as school's concerned, my old girlfriend, Bev, that's my girlfriend. And of course, we're going to go to prom together. But I don't have any intention of doing that. I can either start like a new chapter in my life of taking Colette, right, to senior prom, and then, we'll continue to date and live happily ever after. And that doesn't work out like that. But, in theory. So, but the day's getting closer and closer. And I'm like, frozen in a one of those states where I just make a decision, Keith, one or the other. We got to do something, but I haven't done anything yet, and I forget how long it is how many days it is until prom. And I'm over at Colette's house in the foyer, and her mom's there in the kitchen, and her mom knows that I'm still there. I mean, I've come over there after school, or I walked her home or something. We've hung out there a little bit. Now I'm getting ready to leave the house. But her mom, you know when it's your house, whether you've got strangers in your house or not, right? I mean, I'm not a stranger, but she knows I'm there, is my point. And Colette's mom hollers from the kitchen to her daughter, and she knows that I'm standing 3 feet from her daughter. She hollers, "Have you picked out a color yet for your prom dress?" She says. Conniving, right? This is very Machiavellian. Because, talk about a shotgun wedding. This is what's happening now, is a shotgun wedding. Because her mom asks her that, and Colette just looks at me and smiles and waits. Doesn't answer her mom, of course, because she hasn't picked out a color for a prom dress, because she doesn't have a prom date at the moment. But she's about to get one, right? So Colette's looking at me and kind of smiling, a little bit of a smirk. And I go, "Would you like to go to prom with me?" And she's like, totally loving this, and just, loving how uncomfortable I am. And she's like, "Well, now that you mention it, yes, I would. I accept your invitation." And then she turns around and hollers to her mom and says, "Keith and I are talking about it now. We're gonna pick out what color, my prom dress is gonna be, and so then, my shirt will match, or tux will match, or whatever, corsages and the whole bit, prom stuff." But seriously, isn't that like, it's a shotgun wedding, right? Her mom hollers from the kitchen, "Have you picked out a color for your prom dress?" Knowing full well that Colette and I are standing out there in the foyer, and she's talked to her mom, and her mom is I know, completely up to date. Has Keith asked you to the prom yet? Damn it! And she's like, no, he hasn't. And she's like, fuck, you know, we're gonna make him do it probably today, you know. So I'm sure the whole thing was totally staged. Had to have been, you know. Her mom had to know I was there. All that. So anyway, that's those two stories I wanted to tell, and it's only right at 20 minutes. And there was one other thing. Was it a high school thing? Uh-oh. If I don't remember it in the next few seconds. Seemed like it had to do with my dad. Shit. I should write these down in bullet notes. All right, I'm going to surrender. Let me stall for time for a little bit by saying that I just a couple days ago finished up what I call Chapter 2 of, where's an example? No, actually, I didn't use this, but this is from Cena Drums. It's that USB drive thing that's on a credit card that she's got all kinds of files in here, and video and audio files and behind the scenes stuff. And anyway, I just finished Chapter 2 of going through signed, autographed merch and gifts and things, and Deanna's painting back there with the yellow truck. Just finished that like 2 days ago. And so if you're watching this, and I mentioned something to you about I'm going to do the next chapter one, you know, that's because you have been nice enough to send me something, and you told me, you asked me for my address, and I thank you for that very much. But what I didn't tell you is, tell it now, I think I did try to say, but anyway, I now know of 4 things that are coming, counting yours. And so I think if I have about 5, I can make that into a normal, well, normal for me was, it'll be too long, right? But anyway, it'll be long enough to be a video. If I have about 5, signed, autographed coffee cups or CDs or a unicorn or whatever's coming. In fact, I don't know. I don't even know what's coming from the one person I talked to today who wanted my address. She said it's a gift, and I said, well, thank you. I said, well, let me at least pay postage. I won't say what country it's from, but it's not in North America. And I said, I really appreciate this. Whatever it is, I still don't know what it is, but let me pay for postage. I know it's going to be not cheap coming from across the waters. And she's like, no, it's a gift. And I'm like, well, all right, thank you. It's cool. So I have no idea what it's going to be. I'm rooting for a unicorn. Rainbow colored, of course. If you're going to get a unicorn, you got to go all in, right? Get the rainbow color. Okay, that was me stalling for time, trying to think of what the third thing I was going to talk about. 2 embarrassing high school stories, and the other. Oh, got it. Whew, got it. Yeah, it happened in high school. Yeah. No, I was 14. Yeah, you're not in high school. I'm 14. At 14, right? You're 8th grader, ish. Probably summer between 8th grade and freshman year of high school. And if you're not in the United States and don't know or keep track, driving age in the United States is 16. That'd be 16 to drive, 16 to you'll be paying attention to cars. Although, especially if you're a guy, you're paying attention to cars when you're younger than 16. When you're 14 or 13, you can hear the sound of a car driving by as you're going to sleep, and you know that car by the sound of the engine, that kind of thing. So anyway, this is a story that I actually have not yet. I'm thinking, I think I've not quite gotten around to telling my mom this, even to this day. So good thing she doesn't have YouTube, right? Because I've never quite admitted to this, never quite come clean on this. That my mom had gone to work, and I don't know why she hadn't used our car, the family car. My mom, my sister, and I. But she didn't. She was at work, and the car was at home. And my mom fully expected it to stay parked right where it was. But I knew where the extra key was. And I'm 14, but I can figure out how to drive, right? So I get it, and I start the car, and I'm joyriding. I'm driving around, and I call a couple of my friends and go by their house, and they jump in, and we're driving around, and things are going fine, really. The only problem was I didn't know this was a used car. And not a very good one, and because God, we were dirt poor. We were so poor. The gas gauge didn't work, and I didn't know this, and my mom did, but she didn't feel the need to tell her 14-year-old. Why would she? She just kept putting gas in it every so often and never ran out of gas because I guess she kept it. Well, anyway, I drove the hell out of it that day. And I'm looking at the gas gauge and it says like more than a quarter tank left. So, okay, I know how the gas gauge works, and when it gets down, lower, if I have to stop for gas, I don't have any money that I know of on me, but, between the 3 or 4 of us guys that are now together, we'll get a couple bucks together and get some gasoline. Just at least enough to get home, and park it almost empty. But I don't know that the gas gauge is stuck, and it means nothing. Well, the car dies because it runs out of gas. But I don't know that it's out of gas, and I don't know that much about cars to recognize that the sound that it made was it running out of gas. I just know now the car used to work, and now not so much with the working. No. So then I got to call a couple other friends, and one of them that has a car, because we're so far away, we can't push this thing all the way home. It's like, 35 blocks or something, and half of them are uphill. We 8th graders or 9th graders, 14-year-olds, we can't push a car 35 blocks. Again, half of them are uphill. So Marty brings his car. He's older and has access to a car somehow. So he brings the car, and we just put the bumper, just bumper to bumper, and just shove our car, shove it up streets. I'm steering, and the engine's, it's out of gear, but there's no engine's not running. Of course, there's no gasoline, and then I can use the brake if we crest over the top of the hill and start going down a little bit. And anyway, so we get it back over in the vicinity of the house, and then we quit using his car, and we just start pushing it, and because we make small changes and push it back into the parking space where it was. You can't use another car to shove it back in there. You got to do that by hand. So we end up putting it really exactly back where it was. But one of the bad things was I had tried to start it so many times during this crisis of no gasoline that I burned out the starter. Oops. See, I'm 14. I don't know a whole lot about cars. I can drive one, but I didn't know that it was out of gas. But it's not my fault that the gas gauge didn't work. It was my fault for stealing a car at 14, stealing a family car, yes. And quite a few other things in this story that I just told were my fault, yes. But not the fact that the gas gauge was stuck, no. But I burnt the starter up. So, and then my mom gets home, and then, when she tries to start it, it won't start. And I think she called a friend, and they brought, a gasoline tank, gas can, and filled the gas can up and put a couple gallons in it, but it still wouldn't start then, even though they'd just thrown a couple gallons of gas in it. And the friend of hers checked and said, I think the starter's burnt up. And she's like, I don't know how that happened. And of course, her friend was like, I don't know how it happened, but your starter's fucked. So she had to get a new starter, put it on, and now it's got a starter, and now it's got gasoline, so now it runs. And then, we just went from there, and like I said, I never quite got around to explaining what might have happened to the old starter there. And yeah, that's a story I guess I should tell her now. I think it's too late for her to ground me now. So I'm probably well, no, I'm probably not safe. She'll throw something at me or something like that, but at least I won't get grounded. I'll tell her over the phone. That's a good idea. Yeah, I wish her phone. She doesn't have a smartphone. I would text it to her. That'd be better. Yeah, I'll guess I should own up to that. Okay, now we're at 28 minutes, so that's more like it, right? For one of my stupid long YouTube videos. But again, as I've mentioned a couple times, there's at least 3 people that I know of that use these as background sounds while they're actually working on other projects, either home remodeling projects or they're editing video or an audio for musical stuff. So they suits them just fine that they're stupid long like this. But some of you, not so much. It's more suffering for you. So I appreciate this. As I say, you're a superhero if you've come this far. Really appreciate it. I hope there was at least a little bit of worthwhile that you could scrape out of 29 and a half minutes. And we're not going to go 30 minutes because there's a button right there. Thank you very much, and I hope this iPad business works out okay. And see you again. I hope see you again. Hope I haven't run you off. Take care.